welcome back to the Craft Castle. My name is Ashley, and clearly by my craft room you can tell that I love any craft cutting machine. I have fallen in love and gotten the bug of collecting a bunch of different machines. When I first started crafting in 2012, I got my very first Cricut and I fell in love with the Cricut craft cutting machines. Things have not changed much. However, my evolution of a crafter has now become adding in Xtool laser cutting machines. The great and the coolest thing about Xtool is that they not only have really cool lasers, but they also have machines like this one right here. Beep, that one, this white box right here. This right here is not only a laser, but it also is like a Cricut all in one. And not only that, but it also has a printer, but that's neither here or there. What I am trying to say is that I think Xtool is going to be like the next company that comes forward. My prediction is that Cricut is probably going to be like second in the industry and Xtool is probably going to be the first. Now, that being said, if you are an experienced crafter that has owned your own Cricut or even your Silhouette for many years, you probably know that software like the back of your hand. I mean, I do. And I know that learning a brand new software is annoying. It truly is. But I am here to help you out on that. Now, the coolest thing about Xtool program is if you're even curious on what the software is like, because you may want to be purchasing your own Xtool, fun fact, you don't even have to purchase the machine in order to use the software. So that's why we're here today. I'm going to teach you how to make one really cool cake topper. My son's getting ready to turn 12. Insert crying and mom's breaking heart. But I'm going to hold it together for you because I'm going to show you how to make a simple cake topper in Xtool's Creative Space program. And if you're not even interested in purchasing an Xtool, that's okay, because you know what the coolest feature is about the Xtool Creative Space program is that you're gonna be able to export this SVG file and you're gonna be able to use it in any machine. This is all gonna be for free. So let me just recap this entire thing, just in case I missed something. If you wanna learn how to make your own free SVG file, or if you are just wanting to figure out if the Xtool program is gonna be easily navigatable for you. Is that even a word? I don't even know. If you answered yes to either of those, you just want to keep watching because I'm going to show you how we're going to take a cake topper built in Xtool, and then I'm going to export the SVG file, and I'm going to show you that it actually works in Cricut Design Space after we're done doing this. And it's going to be all for free. And also, I do want you to know a little teaser here. I'm going to show you some vast differences between Xtool's Creative Space and Cricut Design Space. Obviously, the big light bulb moment here is that in Xtool Creative Space, you can export your own SVG files, but there's also a few other key differences between the two programs, and we're going to get into that today. I promise you by the end of this, I'm probably going to convince you that you're going to be wanting to use the Xtool Creative Space more, just on the simple fact that you can export your own SVG files. Just saying. All right, y'all, are you ready to get started? Let's go. If you are making this project with me and you don't already have an Xtool, you will need to download the Xtool Creative Space program. It is 100% free, which I love because you get to test out the software before ever buying one of their machines. The other thing too is even if you never end up buying one of their machines, exporting all SVG files is free, which is amazing. So when you download Xtool's Creative Space, this is what it's going to look like. And there are different projects that other people are creating, and they just like to show you what other people are creating. So for me, the very first thing I'm gonna do is come over here into New Project. Now for my project, I'm going to be using my Xtool P2. So I am going to come up here to the M1 Ultra, and I am just going to switch over to my P2. You do not have to do this before. I always just like to do it when I'm designing. Okay, so the very first thing I want to do is put in the words happy birthday. So I'm going to come over here into text, and then I'm just going to click anywhere on my workspace. My workspace is going to be this rulered rectangle, white rulered rectangle that's right here. That is how large my bed size is for my P2. So for my text, what I'm going to want, my son requested a very basic happy birthday file. So I'm going to put happy and then birthday. Then what I want to do is I'm going to come over here to this box right here. It always is predetermined as Lato, but when we click on it, you're going to get an option of all of Xtool's fonts that they have, But if you keep scrolling down, you will end up getting your system fonts. So these right here are all my downloaded fonts that I have in my computer. And then just click on the font. So I'm going to click out of this and I'm just going to make this larger so we can see what we're doing. And then up here on the spacing, there's going to be two. One's going to be for letter spacing and one's going to be for line spacing. I'm just going to increase these just so we can actually see what we're doing. Now, the one thing that I can say when doing fonts within Xtool Creative Spaces is, you know how over in Cricut Design Space, when you have your font and let's say that you wanted to readjust some spacing, like the D and the A is not connected over here, all you would do over in Cricut Design Space is just press Advanced and then Ungroup to Letters, and then you would be able to maneuver all of these letters individually, right? Well, over in Xtool Creative Space, I'm hoping eventually that they will give us this little button because it's quite obnoxious that it's not here and there's not another workaround outside of doing this. So each individual letter is all connected together and there's not a way to ungroup them all. The only other way to do it is Happy Birthday has 13 letters, right? So you want to make 13 copies of this happy birthday. Again, this is the quite annoying part. So I'm just going to make this smaller and I am going to copy and paste, and we're going to do this 13 times. Yes, I'm serious. Now don't forget, the huge difference in the best feature that is in Xtool Creative Space is the fact that when I'm done, I'm going to be able to export my SVG file, which you would not be able to do if you were only using Cricut Design Space. So very first thing, on the very first one, we are going to do just a H, then we're going to do just an A. Do you see what I'm doing here? We're going to do just a P, and then I need another P, so I'm going to copy and paste that P, and then I need just a Y. Then we're going to do just a B, and it's the same thing that we did up for happy is what we are going to do for birthday. Now that we have all the letters individually spaced, all I'm going to do is just make this bigger so it makes it easier for me to design. Okay, now what I'm going to do is move these letters around until I get the proper placement that I like. Okay, so I have respaced my letters and I'm really happy with the way that this looks. So what I'm going to do is, just for right now, I'm only going to select only happy, and I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to press Unite. Unite is the same button as Weld in Cricut Design Space. Then what I'm going to do is only selecting birthday, and I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two together because I need to make sure that both words are going to be welded together so it makes one really good acrylic cake topper. When I have the spacing the way that I want, all I'm going to do is take this right here and I'm just going to weld it together. Now what I'm going to do is resize this to the size that I need. I think that I'm just going to go with a 6-inch wide cake topper, so I'm just going to do 6 and press enter. Now what I want to do is add in a stick because I want to stick this on into my son's birthday cake. So I'm going to come over here into this box, this shape, and I'm just going to click on the rectangle, and I'm just going to make any size rectangle. We can resize this here in a second. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over into my cake topper. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to unlock, and let me just zoom in just so I can see what I'm doing. Now when I make my cake topper sticks, I like to make them about the width of my one letter that I'm going to be connecting to, just so it doesn't look like it's gigantic. I can't stand when a cake topper stick looks so thick. Now I'm going to make this shorter because I definitely don't need an almost 9-inch cake topper stick. So I'm just going to take my little arrow and I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. Now that we have that done, doing the same thing what we did with happy and birthday, you want to weld your stick to the happy birthday. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to come over here to combine, and then I'm going to press unite. Okay, so now what I want to do is create the number 12. That's going to be like a cake sticker is what I like calling them, and I'm going to put that on the front of his cake. So I'm just going to do the same thing, insert a text, and I'm going to do 12 for right now. And then I'm going to come in here to text, and I'm going to choose the text that I want to use for the number 12. Let's just make this bigger so we can see what we're doing. Okay, and so for this one, I'm going to make it like a double layered cake sticker. So the very first thing I need to do is separate these two numbers, right? So I'm going to copy and paste this because I have two numbers. and I'm only going to do 1 on one side and 2 on the other. Now they're 2 individual numbers, and I'm going to make this just a little bit closer. I don't want them connecting, but I'm going to make them a little bit closer so there's not just a huge gap in between. Okay, what I'm going to do is select both of these pieces, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to press outline, which is offset in Cricut Design Space. Now there is going to be another blue line that comes on the outside of that 2. It's also on the 1, but it's a little bit harder to see. You can see it more on the 2. You want to keep moving your circle over to the right to make your offset larger, or you can use the up and down arrows right here. When you have the offset that you like, you just want to press confirm. Okay, now this right here auto welded for me, which I love. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my number 12 and I'm going to resize this. So now technically we are done with the design process. There's going to be a little bit more that I'm going to have to do because I'm going to be cutting this out of mirror acrylic. But if you were making this cake topper to make in your Cricut or to sell it, what I would do is I would just leave it the way that it is, and I would then save my SVG file. How to save it is you would come up over here to the X. See that little caret down there? You want to click on it and go to File and then Export SVG. Now, technically the 12, the 1 and the 2 is still a text. So it needs to be rasterized, which means that essentially it is going to take it from an editable text to just a clip art image. So all you want to do is just press OK. Now let's do Happy Birthday 12, or you can name it whatever you want. And then you'll just press Save. Now just to verify that it does work, let's just go back into Cricut Design Space. I'm going to delete this because we don't technically need it. And I'm going to go over into Upload and then Upload Image. I'm going to find the file that we just created and I'm going to click on it and press Return. Now what you want to do is just press Continue and then press Upload.
Now here's your finished SVG file that you created for free in Xtool's Creative Space. Now remember, you would have never been able to export your SVG files in Cricut Design Space if we did this all in Cricut Design Space.
Okay, so for me, what I'm going to do is I am going to turn on my Xtool P2 because I need to cut these out on black and mirror gold acrylic. Okay, so over at the Xtool P2, we just want to turn our machine on and then open up your cover. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some black acrylic, but also some mirror gold acrylic. That's the color that my son wanted for his birthday cake topper. Now, when it comes to mirror acrylic, what you want to be mindful of is not to cut directly like this. The reason for that is the mirror will bounce back into the lens of your laser. Doesn't matter what laser you're using, and it could crack your lens. Also, flashback, if anything happens to the back of the mirror acrylic, what ends up happening is you're going to get like a weird rippling mark. So in order to avoid that, you want the mirror effect, which is technically this gray stuff, you want that facing above you. So I'm just going to insert it just like this into my Xtool. Then I'm hoping that this piece right here will fit my cake topper that I want to make. So I'm just going to try and break some of these pieces down just so I can fit and I don't have to do 2 cuts. The other thing too is when you're using a laser, you want to make sure that your material is nice and flat and it's not wonky. My material is not wonky. If it was, I would take these pin down things and I would pin my material down just so then it's nice and flat and you'll get like the best quality cuts ever. Because my material is nice and flat, I'm not too concerned about it, so I'm not going to use my clips. Now what you want to do is just close your lid to your Xtool. Okay, now what I need to do is connect my P2 to my computer. So I'm just going to come down here to the drop down box and press connect. When you do that, it will automatically do a bed refresh. This is the camera view of what is in my Xtool P2. Now what I want to do is I want to come over here to the thickness and I'm going to auto measure onto my material. This is just going to give me the best and highest quality cuts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this number 12, the original number 12. I want it to be on the black acrylic. So I'm going to make this fit onto my black. And I'm going to try and fit this happy birthday on my gold acrylic. If it doesn't fit, then I'm going to have to go and get a bigger piece. Now remember, when we're working with mirror acrylic, we're going to cut with the gray side facing up. Because of that, what you want to do is mirror the stuff that you're going to be cutting on your mirror gold acrylic. So for me, this 12 needs to be mirrored. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to mirror this. I'm also going to come over here and I'm going to mirror this as well. If it's legible to you, that means that it will not cut correctly. So you want to make sure that it is not legible to you, so it will be perfect when you get done cutting. Okay, now what I need to do is define my cut settings. So I'm going to come over here to this user defined material, and I'm just going to click on the 3mm white acrylic and then just press confirm. No, I am not using white acrylic, but to be honest with you, all acrylic cuts the same. What I am going to do though is I'm going to select everything that I am cutting, so all of my pieces. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to press cut because we need to cut these out. And I'm going to change my speed to 15. My particular Xtool loves to cut acrylic at 15 speed instead of what Xtool suggests. I'm not entirely sure if that's for every Xtool, but my particular P2 loves the cut it out perfectly at that 15 speed. It's like chef's kiss at that point. Now that we have all that done, all you want to do is just press process and then press start.
Over at your Xtool, the only thing that you have to do is make sure you're venting out of your window, or if you're using your air filter, you want to turn that on. Then all you need to do is just press that button.
And you're going to let the Xtool do the cuts.
Okay, now that we have that done, let's just open up our Xtool, and these should just pop right out if your settings were correct. Mine pop right out. Look at that. Nice, clean, beautiful cuts. All right, we're gonna need to glue this on top of this, so let's go and glue this together. Now, my most favorite glue currently right now to glue all of my wood and acrylic pieces is going to be Maker's Magic. I use the gloss for acrylic just because acrylic is glossy, has like a glossy finish, so it just makes sense that I would use a glossy glue. But if I was using wood, which wood is matte, I would use their matte version. But this right here is my most favorite glue to be using for acrylic and wood. That being said, I am going to use a paintbrush today and paint on my glue to the back of my number 12. However, I also have it rebottled in this for like smaller details. Something like this, if I was gluing something to it, I would probably use this and I would glue the back of it just so it's like more fine, you know, the fine detail. But for something that is thick like this, I'm just going to use a paintbrush. So all acrylic has a plastic or a masking over the top just to protect it. So you want to take that off. And then you won't obviously want to take off your masking from the other piece of acrylic you're going to be gluing. Now for me, what I'm going to do is only take the back off of my acrylic. The reason for that is because this glue has like a watery finish to it. I don't want to ruin the front of my acrylic, and also acrylic picks up fingerprints very easily, and so I definitely don't want my fingerprints to be on his cake topper. I want to leave it looking pristine condition. So we're going to take this glue right here, and I'm just going to take a little bit of glue onto my paintbrush, and I'm just going to put some glue onto my paintbrush. I was using silicone based glue for the longest time for my wood and acrylic projects. Now, there's nothing wrong with that glue. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using that glue. However, I have found that that glue takes 24 hours to dry. This right here only takes an hour, 2 hours max. So time is money, and I don't have a whole lot of patience for things to dry. So if something can dry in 1 to 2 hours for me, I'm gonna do that versus something that's gonna take me a really long time to dry. You know what I mean? So taking off the masking only on the back of my one, I'm just going to put a fair amount of glue. I'm also not putting it on the very edges. I'm going to stay in the middle of my number one. The reason for that is I'm trying really hard to make sure that glue doesn't come out.
If it does, this right here is a glossy clear finish, so it should match with the glossy finish of my acrylic, but just in case, I want to make sure and keep the glue within my number. That is why I tend to use this right here for the finer details, just because you can really, really, really manage the glue with how small that needle point is. So we just want to put that down in here. You could, at this point, go ahead and peel the masking tape off of your number 12. However, I'm going to leave it there and I'm going to leave it drying just like this because I want to make sure that my numbers don't slide around a lot. And then we'll peel that when it's nice and dry. Although this one right here, the happy birthday, still has a masking on it. So I'm just going to take my weeding tool pick. These things are so helpful, made for weeding vinyl and HTV. I use it also to weed out all the masking tape for my acrylic pieces and wood pieces. I use this thing. These are the most handiest tools ever. Okay, now that masking tape is off, look at how beautiful this cake topper is. Perfectly cut. All right, now all you want to do is let this dry and then we will decorate the cake together. And look at how cute this cake is. My husband went to a local bakery here in town and just picked up their display cake that was in the case. And this right here is actually the most perfect cake for my son. He absolutely loves Oreos, like it is his guilty pleasure, but then he also loves Hershey Kisses and Hershey bars. Like, this is the cake made for him. Chocolate cake, chocolate icing, Oreo cookies, Hershey bars, Hershey Kisses. This was like made for him. And then look at that. A 12 up here and a happy birthday made in acrylic. And the coolest thing about this is even if you didn't have a Xtool laser cutter or even the Xtool M1 Ultra, which is like a Cricut and a laser having a baby, you now have your own free SVG file that you've created that you can use it in any single program that takes SVG files. Wasn't that really cool? All right, friends, I sure hope that you learned a lot today. If you're feeling a little intimidated by learning a new program, stick with me because I got you. I truly want everyone to learn the Xtool Creative Space program, not just because you should get an Xtool because I love their machines, but because their software is free and exporting SVG files that you could never do with Cricut makes it like the #1 reason why we should all be using their program. All right, y'all, I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you later.